This is Cruise Radio.
I cruise a lot, and I always sail with travel insurance. You should, too. Get a free quote today at tripinsurance.com.
Here we go.
Broadcasting from the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. This is Cruise Radio.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Doug Parker. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of Cruise Radio. Very happy to have you here, my friend. Kicking things off this week is staff writer Richard Sims with a little spillover of cruise news because we had a lot of news on Thursday, didn't we?
Oh, we had so much news. And even now, as we're doing it, we're getting more news coming in. So maybe we'll do one 10 minutes from now.
Well, we're going to start with a slew of new changes being made on board at Disney Cruise Line.
Yeah, this sort of came out of nowhere as far as I could tell. I hadn't really heard any rumblings of this, but they're tightening up things where some of their onboard policies, and this all starts on June 3rd. So as we're recording this, that would be next week. The changes are going to include how much alcohol you can bring on board, rules about cabin decoration, selfie sticks. So under the new rules, guests will be allowed to bring one bottle of wine on board for the entire cruise, which is down from the previous policy that allowed additional bottles could be purchased in port. So, and I think this is pretty standard for most ships is, they don't necessarily allow you to buy more in port. So you can bring your one bottle on board there. They're also putting new rules in place regarding stateroom decorations. And I've seen this on several cruise lines. They're basically sort of trying to put in place policies that will avoid you doing damage to the doors. Tape and things can leave the sticky residue and stuff, and it can get kind of messy. So several cruise lines, including Disney, are putting new rules in place, and it's a really good idea if you're planning to decorate your stateroom or your stateroom door to go online and just make sure that you are familiar with, whether it's Disney or any other line, what their policies are. They've also changed their policy regarding selfie sticks and camera accessories that are similar to that they have to remain under 18 inches in length while on board. I mean, I guess once you're on shore, you can extend that puppy as far as you want, but while you're on board, it can't be extended more than 18 inches in length. These changes kind of, like I said, they were kind of quiet. They just were sort of added to the webpage where they list various prohibited items and things. I'm a big believer that if you have any doubts whatsoever, go on the company website, again, whether it's Disney or any other, and give their little FAQ a quick read and see to make sure you're not going to have it, something be confiscated at the port when you get there.
The other day, we talked about NCL opening their Great Tides water park on, September 4th, but we didn't have the prices at the time of recording, but I understand you have those now.
Well, sort of. Nobody has the prices until you actually go to book. When we talked about this earlier in the week, we talked about the fact that, tickets were going on sale. And we were pretty sure that, much like Perfect Day CocoCay, it would have dynamic pricing. We definitely now know people are booking, and they're talking about it on Reddit. We also did a couple of independent test bookings, and we can confirm that the pricing is dynamic. In other words, how much you pay to access the water park, or for that matter, to rent a cabana in the water park, is going to depend on a variety of factors that are really only known to NCL. It might involve the date of your arrival, how many ships are visiting that day, which stars are aligned. Okay, probably not that part. But one of our test bookings came in at $99 per person for the water park. If you wanted to rent a cabana, it came under just under $1,200 for the day. Now, one really interesting thing, when you book through NCL, pretty much everybody gets the free at sea package. They talk a lot about the free drinks, and you get a bunch of other perks, some Wi-Fi minutes and stuff. But one of the things you generally get with the free at sea package is a $50 shore excursion credit. From what we can tell, and this is all flexible, it could change at any time since they haven't actually opened the park yet. But from what we can tell, it looks as if you can use that $50 shore excursion credit if you wanted to rent a cabana at Great Stirrup Cay, whether it's in the lagoon or elsewhere. But you cannot use it toward the ticket prices to get into the water park. I'm not really sure why that is. I tried to sort of suss out what reasoning there might be behind that, but I could not find any. As for the prices that I just cited, $99 per person and $1,200 for a cabana, those, like I said, that's very flexible. I've seen people on Reddit saying that when for their particular cruise, it was $79 per person. I've seen people saying it was $180 per person. So it really is. I don't know who came up with the term dynamic, because dynamic sounds good, and I don't necessarily think this is the best thing ever. I think you should have one set price that everybody knows what they're getting when they go, but that's just me. It does seem expensive, but it also does not seem all that out of line with what we see at, the closest thing that we have that's similar to it, which would be Perfect Day.
Okay. So like we said the other day too, the prices seem to be in the range that we said.
Yeah. Yeah, we were pretty close with what we were. I mean, we were doing some educated guessing, as they say, and we're fairly well educated, it turns out.
Right. And the next story is an update on a Carnival cruise ship that introduced something that a lot of guests will probably enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, smoking on cruise ships is always a divisive issue, but this is good news for a lot of people who hate smoky casinos. No, they did not do away with smoking on the ship, but Carnival Glory just unveiled they have a new non-smoking casino. That is not, like I said, that does not mean that you can't smoke in the casino. It means there is now a separate casino in which there is no smoking. So those of you who, insist on you've got to puff while you're gambling, you still will be able to. Do not worry. This is definitely not that. They made several changes to Carnival Glory before they announced this. But one addition that they didn't make, surprisingly enough, is the Sea to Shining Sea crest. Now, we reported a while back that the Carnival Legend was the first ship to roll out with this new Sea to Shining Sea crest that's on the front of the ship, and then Carnival Magic, I believe, was the next one. And I saw some commentary online saying, wait, Carnival Glory got updates. Why didn't it get this? That's because it was not actually in dry dock. It was in service, and they were doing the work while the ship was in service as opposed to in a dry dock. That said, as I mentioned a minute ago, a second ship did receive the new crest this week. That was the Carnival Magic, which came out of dry dock with the addition, making it the second ship. Eventually, every ship in the fleet, except the two sailing out of Galveston, will receive the same treatment on their bows. They'll get this new Sea to Shining Sea crest. But the two that sail out of Galveston will continue to operate with the Texas Star on the front of the ship.
And we have another Carnival-related story, this one involving a lawsuit.
Actually, Doug, we're going to talk about 3 lawsuits in this segment. The first is a tragic one in which a young woman who was sailing on the Carnival Celebration was involved in just a terrible, unimaginable accident while she was on an excursion. The cruise was to celebrate her recent graduation, and while on board, she and a friend went on a catamaran excursion with a company called Pearl Investment Management Group. The entire excursion sounds like it was badly run, but there are several allegations being made, including that one of the people running the excursion slipped her a Mickey, that the people on the excursion, people who ran the excursion were allegedly doing drugs with them. It just sounds like everything that is in the handbook for what you shouldn't do as an excursion operator, they were doing. But this is where it gets awful. At some point, she jumped off the boat at the suggestion of the operator so that she could use the ocean as her restroom, basically. While she was climbing back on board, the engine was started and her lower extremities were sucked into the propeller. I mean, I just cringed thinking about it. The resulting injuries required 25 surgeries and ultimately resulted in her legs being amputated below the knee. The lawsuit is against not only the company running the excursion, but Carnival, with the argument being that they marketed this experience as being vetted and safe. Carnival has so far, to the best of my knowledge, not commented. And that's pretty common that they don't necessarily comment when there's an ongoing lawsuit.
And you mentioned there are, 2 other lawsuits as well?
Yeah, that's right. The first involves a woman who claims that a passenger, not a crew member, a passenger, spilled hot soup in the main dining room. The woman sustained, I believe it was 2nd and 3rd burns, and says that Carnival was essentially negligent for allowing something that hot to be served. Carnival tried to have the lawsuit tossed out on the grounds that it was essentially not presented properly. A judge ruled that though they were right, the suit was not, perfectly prepared, it had enough merits on its own that it should be allowed to move forward. And the third lawsuit also involves burns, but these were on the bottom of a man's feet. In his suit, he claims that the decking material on Carnival Magic got so hot during a cruise he took last year that as he walked from the pool to his deck chair about 20 feet away, he sustained severe burns on the bottom of his feet. He's suing for $5 million due to the incident, medical treatments, mental anguish, and other associated issues. So, yeah, those are the three that are bubbling along right now. So there we go.
I know. Interesting story there, Richard, because it seems like if you're walking around the pool deck, you should at least be wearing flip-flops, not because of even a hot deck, but broken glass or whatever.
I kind of agree. I think where Carnival might run into a little bit of trouble, in my non-legal opinion here, is that it appears that in the lawsuit documents, they go through and they list various incidences of this happening in the past. Mm-hmm. So that creates a situation where it's like, if this is correct, and again, I'm not a lawyer and I don't even play one on television, but if this is correct, they're able to show that Carnival knew this was an issue. This has happened before, maybe not this severely. And they should at the very least have signs posted around the pool. That's sort of the argument being made.
Okay. And we wrap things up with some good news for anyone who wants to cruise somewhere they may have not been before on a ship.
It's not exactly what I'd call exotic, but there is now a cruise ship doing sail out of the home of chicken wings, Buffalo, New York. If you don't know, Buffalo, New York's Anchor Bar is legendarily where chicken wings, Buffalo chicken wings were born. The ship is the American Patriot. It's a 130-passenger ship from American Cruise Lines, and it docked in Buffalo this week, and we'll be doing regular sailings out of there. I've never actually done American Cruise Line, but I'm very drawn to the idea of a smaller ship with a slower pace, and they do a lot of river cruises and things like that, and it just kind of in some way appeals to the little old man in me, I guess. This is good news for Buffalo, which expects that the first year of sailings will bring in over $1 million, and they're looking at how it impacts the entire area as far as, guests coming in early to stay in a hotel, that kind of thing. And they are in the process of, at some point down the line, building a bigger, newer terminal, which could mean we see more cruise ships coming in and out of Buffalo.
I may have mentioned this in the past. I can't remember, but back in my radio days, I was hired by a competitor. So I had in my contract was a 6-month non-compete. So I couldn't, have any job in the market at a media station for 6 months. So I got a job at American Cruise Line it was going to be for a few months, but I couldn't hang. I lasted a little less than a month and bailed.
Wow. And what was your job?
Well, I was hired as a deckhand, but there were too many deckhands when I flew to the ship. So they put me as cabin service and a waiter. So it makes me really appreciate the 14-hour days, 7 days a week that our fellow cabin crew does.
I got to say, I've known you for a long time, and it's amazing that every now and then just a new little factoid slips its way out there.
All right, staff writer Richard Sims, thanks for the weekend update.
Always glad to.
Have a tip or a lead on a news story? Let us know. Email tips@cruiseradio.net.
A big question we get at Cruise Radio is, how do I know if I need trip insurance? Simple answer. If you're getting on a plane, taking a road trip, or getting on a cruise ship, you need to have travel insurance. Hey, it's Doug Parker from my friends at tripinsurance.com. Not only does tripinsurance.com protect your vacation investment, but it also gives you peace of mind in case anything were to go wrong on your trip. How do they do it? They offer 3 different types of trip insurance policies. Good, better, and best. One policy for every vacation budget. But it doesn't just stop there. They're up to 40% lower when you shop around on other comparison sites. Plus, tripinsurance.com offers 24-hour customer support before, during, and after your trip, online claims assistance, and travel alerts to let you know what's going on at your destination. But find out for yourself. Check out tripinsurance.com. Eric just returned from a 5-night cruise aboard the Norwegian Gem right here in Jacksonville, Florida. He joins us on the line to talk all about it. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Doug, how are you, my friend? Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years. Great to have you back on the show here to talk about Norwegian Gem sailing an eye shot from the studio here in Jacksonville. So we'll jump right to it. But before we get to the ship itself, we'll take a step back. You're up in the Savannah, Georgia area. What made you want to jump on this 5-nighter out of Jacksonville?
Doug, thanks for asking. We moved to the Savannah area almost a couple years ago, and we usually used to out of Florida. We sailed out of Port Canaveral. So my wife and I decided that after a long time with a particular cruise line, that it was time for us to make a change. Mm-hmm. And so we saw, hey, look, there's Jacksonville. It's only 2 hours away. How cool is that? And we could try a new cruise line. And the Gem was sailing out of Jacksonville, and man, we found an incredible price on a balcony on a 5-day cruise to the Bahamas, and that was it. I mean, we were going to do it. So there you go.
I'm curious, did you ever sail Carnival out of here, or was this your first time sailing out of Jacksonville?
It was our first time out of Jacksonville, and never sailed out of Carnival out of there. No.
Okay, interesting. Very cool. All right, so you make your way down to the port. I'm sure is that just a day of drive for you then?
Oh, it's like just right at 2 hours. Mm-hmm. Yeah, real quick.
Okay, so we'll jump right to the pier then. It's time for embarkation. How was the embarkation, and how long did it take you to get from the parking lot to the ship?
Oh my gosh. Our plan was, our check-in time, I think, was at 11 o'clock, and we left here to 9 o'clock. So that's 2 hours on the road. We pull into the port and drop off our luggage, probably the easiest we've ever done before. And found a quick parking spot, walked up to the terminal area, and this is the honest truth. We were, I think we actually got to the terminal probably at like 10:30, mm-hmm. and by 11 o'clock it was less than that. I mean, it was like, like 25 minutes. We were from check-in, security, and we were sitting on the back of the Gym in the outdoor cafe having a drink and lunch. I mean, it was the easiest embarkation we've ever had, and the quickest.
So right when you got there, they were boarding already.
Yeah, they were, and we had no status with NCL, so it was like, I mean, we were through security. We had all our paperwork. We've done this so many times. We've been on, 15 cruises, but this was so simple and so easy, and we loved it. We loved it.
What were your first impressions of Norwegian Gem? And sailing out of Jacksonville, you're walking up that ramp to get onto the ship. What part of the ship are you walking into? Is it like the atrium?
It was, if I recall correctly, it was kind of like, I think it was kind of in that atrium, but they didn't have the traditional, like the larger ship atrium. It was more of a subdued area with this large screen. So I think I'm pretty sure that's where we walked in. So we walked in and you see, it's an older ship. It's a smaller ship, but it's very well taken care of. It was immaculately clean. I mean, the crew was amazing. So friendly. They weren't pushy. Sometimes you get on certain cruise lines and they're trying to push certain items they want to sell and things, but everybody was great. The ship looked great for its age and its size. And we found everything so easy on the ship. We found, all the main dining room was easy to find. And so embarkation, we get on the ship, we've got a couple of backpacks. We find our way, we go immediately to our muster station. That was very simple. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, we're walking into the back of the ship to the outdoor cafe, which, by the way, that's the best place to rather than hitting the buffet inside, to go out there. There's a bar right there, mm-hmm. and the buffet is really convenient. So, the ship looked great, and considering its age and size.
What kind of stateroom did you book for this 5-night cruise, and what did you think of it?
Terry and I always like a balcony cruise or balcony cabin. And so we had a starboard side toward the front of the ship and high. We kind of like that. And we walked in, and the layout was great. There was plenty of room in the cabin. We asked for the pillow top that they put on top of the bed, and man, the bed was so comfortable. A little small TV, but who goes cruising for TV? Mm-hmm. A little small TV, a refrigerator that was there, and the bathroom was great. Plenty of room, lots of places to put storage. Extra hangers were already in the cabin. we called our cabin steward and said, hey, can we get a couple of bathrobes? And within, an hour, we had, bathrobes that we could use, because that's our thing, is to go out and have coffee on the balcony in the morning in our bathrobes. So, but yeah, it was a great room. Not a lot of plugs beside the bed, but we always bring like a little extension, an approved extension cord. So that all worked out great. A couple things that first impression is, on NCL, we learned before we left that, you can't take soda or wine on. You can take wine, but you have to pay a corkage fee. Mm-hmm. But we didn't have soda, but, that didn't matter. I mean, it all worked out great. And so the cabin was great. We just loved it.
What did you think of the space of the balcony cabin? As far as being out on the balcony, you mentioned you'd like to have coffee out there in the mornings. Was it big enough for, 2 chairs and still to have plenty of room without being cramped?
Yeah, it was a little smaller than, maybe like Carnival, but not much. I mean, it was easy to get, we always take the tray outside and sit and just make it just a nice morning. Mm-hmm. So it seemed like it was plenty of room, and the view was great. I mean, it was unobstructed. And the great thing about this high cabin is normally, you have that open space if you're like on a Carnival, like on the Vista or something. If you have a high front cabin, you kind of have an open space above you, but this actually had a nice overhang. So if we wanted shade, we had it right there. So the size was great. It was great. A great view. And, I just have to say, for a ship that's kind of an older, compared to some of the newer ships and smaller, we really, really liked the way the ship was laid out, and the room was great.
Let's talk about the dining on board. A few minutes ago, you mentioned that you really enjoyed the aft part of the buffet area, but as far as the buffet and the food, the quality, and did it ever feel too crowded?
We ate breakfast and lunch mostly on that outdoor buffet. A couple times we went through the buffet inside, and on the sea day, it was really, really crowded. But you could go outside of that outdoor buffet, and it was so easy to get around, and it didn't feel like it was crowded at all. The food overall, I think, was great. We ate at the main dining room every night. We did not do specialty dining. I mean, we wanted to kind of have a bare bones experience with NCL before we tried that on our next cruise. But I have to say the main dining room was fabulous. They have 2 dining rooms available, MDRs available. One is rather large, and the other is a little smaller and intimate. And we went there most nights. We did go to the bigger dining room once. But what we experienced it's almost like that old fashioned, white tablecloth, superb service. All the servers were great. I mean, they were very attentive. The food I thought was really top notch. I mean, I didn't have a bad meal on the ship the whole time we were there, both the buffet and in the main dining room. And the desserts were great. I normally am kind of a beef eater on a cruise, but I really tried to explore some different dishes this time, and I can say, and my wife loved it. So, we're kind of NCL fans now. But I will say this last thing about the food is O'Sheehan's. We did go there a couple times for lunch, and we had that corned beef sandwich. That thing was great.
Yeah,
we had the wings, fabulous, and I think we did a burger too. Oh no, the fish and chips. But I had the fish and chips one day, and I'm just going to tell you that's convenient, a lot of fun, and the food was great. So yeah, we loved every meal we had was good.
Because you were going to the aft buffet that's outside, is the food different out there than the regular buffet food? Like, is there a different selection where it's more like burgers and fries, or is it the same type of food?
There's some selections, like, they have an Asian cuisine inside, and some other, different types of cuisine that you can only get inside. And a lot of the desserts, if you really want the selection, you're going to need to go inside to get it. But they did have a lot of the same food outside that they had inside. Just it's not a duplicate because it's for space reasons. Mm-hmm. So, but they do have a lot of the same selections. Like, if you want like if they had roast beef, you can get that out there with the potatoes and things like that. It's just it's more of a duplicate of what they have inside. Like I said, the desserts, they have a few out there, but man, the desserts are incredible. I mean, for a buffet, they don't, like on Carnival, they all slice the cake and things for you, but they have everything already pre-sliced, and they have the little sneeze guards where you can pull it down and grab whatever you want. So yeah, it was all great. It was all great.
Did you do room service at all? You mentioned you like to drink the coffee on the balcony in the morning.
Yeah, that was a surprise for us. Yeah, we did. When I say breakfast, continental breakfast, I think it was like $5. And if you fill out the card the night before, with the time, they bring it in. But we had to pay $5 for that, which was on Carnival. I think it's free. Mm-hmm. But I'll be honest with you, it was great because we ordered, like, they had these little it was these little breakfast bento boxes that had fruit and a muffin and a croissant, and then you could get cereal and milk. So we normally do we got 2 bento boxes the first day, and it was way too much for what we like to do. So the next day we got 1 bento box, and the coffee was so that's kind of what we have every morning, and then we go have second breakfast. So
nice. You mentioned that you really enjoyed the main dining room. Were there lines there, or are there? I know some NCL ships have the digital signage around the ship, basically saying, "Hey, it's green, no lines, no wait." Is that kind of set up for Norwegian Gem?
No, they didn't. And I'll be honest with you, we never stood. There were lines, but it wasn't like. And that's part of the reason we went to the smaller dining room. Is a lot of people went to the larger room. I think it was timing for us too. We'd get there at 6:00, and we never waited more than 10 minutes. Maybe that might have been the longest. So traditional lines. You just you get in line, you go up, and hey, there's 2 of us, and would you like to sit alone or with others? And most times we sat by ourselves, but a couple nights we sat with a larger group, and so. Yeah, I don't think that we ever waited longer than 10 minutes, but there were lines, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all.
Let's talk about the entertainment on this 5-night cruise. How did it stack up for you being first-time NCL cruisers?
Our experience has been on the other cruise line is that, there seems to be music at every bend. There's always somebody singing or playing guitar or violins or something. And what we found on this ship was it didn't feel like that there was, every time you turned, it may have been the size of the ship too, but every place you turned that there was a different musician. What we did find is that the quality of the music that they had was, superb. There was an 80s rock band called Lock Up, and I'm going to tell you, they were playing, Journey and Van Halen and Metallica. And not only was the lead singer just incredible and just sounded just like, Steve Perry and everything, it's, the music was just amazing of this band. And it was probably one of the most popular, entertainment, groups that was available. So that's one. There was also a guitarist that was very popular that, was in that atrium type bar area with the big screen. And his name was Eloy, I think. Mm-hmm. And, people loved him. He was fabulous. Really, really enjoyed sitting and having a drink and just listening to Eloy play, and played a lot of different types of music. And as far as the main theater and stuff, we went to one of the shows, the country music variety show. That was great. The music was good. The singers were great. Costumes were fabulous. For a small ship, I think they did a great job. Another night we went to dinner a little later than we planned, and we're going to go to the show. But we got in there and it was absolutely packed. So couldn't find a seat, but we were late, so understandable. So we found a place to stand and listen to some of the music. And like I said, the singers were great. The music was spot on. And for a small ship, it was top notch, absolutely top notch.
I know some, for as far as entertainment goes and, offerings around the ship, some cruise lines can party well until almost sun up or sunrise. What was the vibe like after, say, 10 o'clock on Norwegian Gem?
Yeah, my first thought is to say, I have no idea. We went to bed at night at 10, but actually we did stay up a couple times. And, it was, we're not partiers. We're at an age now where, we like to find a quiet place to hang out. Mm-hmm. But if you wanted that kind of entertainment, you could go up on the Lido deck at night, and there was always some kind of party going on. We didn't go to those. We used to when we were a little bit younger, but so I don't know. But everybody said that everything that was going on at night, because we met a young couple that we were talking to, and they had a blast. So if you wanted that crazy, party time, with the neon lights and all that stuff, you could get that up on the Lido, or you could go to there's another venue where we used to go. We went and listened to Lock Up play. But yeah, if you wanted that, you could get it. If you wanted to find a quiet place to hang out and have a drink and talk or play cards, you could do that too. And that's one of the things we're attracted to the NCL is as we start to move into that time in life where we want to just kind of be quiet and just kind of hear some music, you can do that pretty easily.
How were the sea days as far as crowds and congestion? You mentioned that the Lido got a little busy.
Yeah. After we had lunch on that first day, we actually went to the pool and kind of hung out. It was kind of hard to find a chair. It was a little busy. On the sea day, we were kind of searching around the ship to find something that resembled our experience on like the Serenity deck. And we were having kind of a hard time finding it until someone actually said, "Hey, if you want some quiet space, go to the top on the front of the ship." And so we went upstairs. So I'm not sure exactly what but it's kind of like a front deck that's really high. We went up there, and it was, imagine the Serenity deck without the bar and without some of the ambiance, but these great chairs were all over the place. Nobody was there. We were mostly by ourselves. But you could be in the sun if you wanted to. They had all the nice loungers. There was shade available if you wanted shade. And so we kind of stayed away from the crowd on sea day, but you could kind of get glimpses that the pool area was really, really busy and really kind of crazy. The bars, a couple times, there was a bar that we could walk down to get something to drink, and the line was long on the sea day. We also noticed that the burger place near the pool was always busy, and the bars were really packed on sea days. So, yeah.
Would you say that front part of the ship was a more of a hidden quiet spot that most people on board missed, or was it busy up there?
When we first found it, it was kind of like we were there was like maybe 2 or 3 other couples. Mm-hmm. As the cruise went on, more people came, but it still wasn't packed. It was kind of like this little serene, quiet place that you could probably get easily 40, 50 people up there, but it wasn't packed. It was nice and quiet. You had to breeze from the front of the ship, and it was Serenity deck without the Serenity deck, if you know what I mean.
The casino, whether you played or not, how was it as far as the smoke situation in and around it?
We Terry and I, we have a habit when we go on a cruise. It's like, okay, we take $20 and we're gonna throw it off the side of the ship. Mm-hmm. We're gonna go to the casino. So we went, and the first night we put in $20 and we won $100. But the question was about smoke. So we did win some money. So who cared about smoke, right? You could smell it. It wasn't like that foggy, overwhelming smell of smoke. You knew that people were smoking in there. There was the place you could play that was a non-smoking area. But you could walk through there and you could smell smoke, but it wasn't so intense that it was that it caused me any kind of sinus issues or anything like that. So it was great. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk.
And we won money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Did you reinvest or did you walk?
Oh no, man! If I win $100, I'm going to go do something else.
I hear you. So let's talk about your ports of call here. You sail out of Jacksonville, and let me ask you this actually before, because like you say, you sail out of Port Canaveral within a mile or less, you're out of the port and into the ocean, but you have about 11 miles here of bends and turns before you make your way to the Atlantic. How was that sail away from here?
Oh my gosh, I was hoping you'd ask me about that. We found this great spot toward that front part of the ship, and because we knew we'd watched videos about going under that main bridge. I can't remember the name of it in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. But everybody was out there watching that. So I got a great video of us going underneath the bridge and enjoying that. And that leisurely little kind of jaunt out there was great. And we had a great spot to watch it and to watch kind of the landscape going by. outside of Jacksonville. That was great. It was quite different, like you said, from Port Canaveral, where you're out in the ocean pretty quickly.
Yeah, those river pilots here have their work cut out for them because there's some hairpin turns at some points there where it's they're definitely getting paid. It's not just a straight shot out like Miami or Port Canaveral here. Your ports of call you went to, where did you go? Was it a typical Bahamas itinerary like Nassau, Great Stirrup, and maybe a Freeport?
Yeah, it was Freeport, Bimini, and then their private island. And so Freeport, we've been there before. And we like to get off the ship. So our plan was let's just kind of stay inside the port and see what we can do. So we hopped off the ship. We found these great little shops right there in Freeport, right walking distance from the ship. Didn't have to go very far at all. And we found a couple little trinkets that we brought back home. There was food there, really good conch fritters and conch salad and stuff like that you could buy if you wanted that. But Freeport for us was a quick jaunt off the ship and then back on the ship to go have some fun. Our next port was Bimini, and we'd been there last year on the Vista out of Port Canaveral, and we had an excursion we paid for. But what we wanted to do is when you come off the pier in Bimini, there's this great little beach right on the right-hand side. I don't know if you know it, but beautiful. The water's great. They've got little food trucks there and such. And so we got off the ship and I said, let's just stop there and see what we can find. We get off the ship. There's a young man there with multiple loungers and these great palm tree umbrellas. And I said, are those for rent? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, well, how much are they? He said, $50. He's got a company t-shirt on and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I said, what comes with it? He says, well, you get an ice chest full of water. And I'm like, how much? 50? And I gave him a 50, and we spent the entire day on that little beach right there. And it was absolutely great. The water was cold, but we did jump in a little bit. We met a nice person there that sat with us, and we talked for hours. And I'm telling you, that was, I mean, how can you beat that? $50 for a nice two loungers and an umbrella for the whole afternoon. So then our last, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to ask you, does NCL sell the Bimini day pass kind of like Carnival will do, or Virgin Voyages, where you can go down to their spot down there by the Hilton and Resorts World?
Yeah, I think that's what we did last year out of Port Canaveral. We did that last year and we loved it. Oh my gosh. But, we were just trying to, I guess we were going on the cheap this time a little bit.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, we did that last year, but yeah, they do offer that. But when you look at the pricing, no hit on NCL, but their excursions are a little rich, I'll say. So yeah.
With that, speaking of excursion, and sometimes if you get the free at sea, you get a little bit of a discount there. Did you have the free at sea package with the drinks or anything?
We did, and we had a $50 off on one of the excursions, and the next port, their private island, we wound up getting a clamshell there, which was like $50, and we thought we could use that for the clamshell, but no, you can only use it for an actual excursion. So, but we did have it, but we didn't get to use it. So.
That's trash.
Yeah, we thought so.
Yeah,
we even called, but anyway, it was fine. The private island, like I said, we got a clamshell, and we're kind of old folks that like to sit around the beach and just kind of enjoy the water and the scenery and such. So we get off the ship on the private island. We had to. They have the pier there, but for some reason another ship was on there at the pier, and so because we're the smaller ship, we had to tender, which was easy peasy tendering, no wait. It was so easy to get on and off the ship. We tendered on the island. We walked over and there was staff there that took our little ticket and took us straight to our clamshell. And the great thing was, you were talking about, we got kind of dissed on the $50 thing, but they allowed you to use your drink package on the private island for this trip. I think it was one of the last ones. So got to do that, and the food buffet was great. The food was burgers and dogs and tacos and things like that, but it was actually really, really good food, and the desserts were good there too.
With the new development open there, like the pool, the lagoon pool and everything, were a lot of people drawn to that?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. I think the beach it wasn't overly crowded. It was pretty full, but the pool was also not overly crowded but full. We actually went over there and spent a few minutes trying to enjoy the pool a little bit with the walk up bar. Um, you know, um, we having moved away from the beach, it was nice to be able to have some beach time. But if we would have spent a lot more time at that pool too. It looked really really nice, really nice.
Yeah, actually, you were mentioning about, you're on one of the last sailings of the drink package on Great Stirrup. There was so much pushback and people bailing that they actually reverse course on that. So now you can continually use your drink package on the island.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's another incentive for us to go with them again.
Yeah, 100% there. So cool. So it sounds like you had a nice little hop there. I'm sure it was nice not to head into Nassau, even though you did go to Freeport, but like Bimini's a nice change of pace.
Yeah. We really, I'll be honest with you. If Bimini would be a place I'd love to retire to. I mean, that's just a great little island for sure.
Yeah, you can fly in and out of there pretty easily too. That airport's right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very cool. All right. Well, so you make your way back to Jacksonville. How was that last sea day back here? Was it uneventful?
Oh yeah, when we found that spot up on the upper front deck, it was like heaven. We'd always take a book. We were sitting there, the little bar that was close. We could get down and get a drink if we needed it. Food was actually, I think that might have been the day we went to O'Sheehan's and instead of trying to traverse some of the food offerings. And but yeah, it was a nice leisurely day. Sea days were always crowded sometimes. It just depends. But we managed to find a place to kind of hang out and keep it kind of quiet and not feel rushed or anything. I got to be honest with you, Doug. The whole trip, we've been on other cruise lines, one primarily, and then one time we were on Holland America. But this is the first time I just felt like I could breathe and relax, and that whole vibe of not feeling rushed to do anything, kind of on my own time. It was great.
Did the app work well for you?
Yeah. The only thing is you wound up getting a PDF of the events. It was readable on the app. As I recall, I don't think maybe it was this ship, but basically the itinerary for the day was not like you could choose what you wanted to do. You kind of had a PDF that you had to look at through your phone app, which was fine. Yeah. But I'm used to being able to go, this is all the offerings, and you can push the ones you want, and then you can just look at your light screen.
Yeah.
But it worked. It worked fine. Yeah.
Did you get Wi-Fi on this one?
Yeah, we did. And, we've never gotten Wi-Fi before. We disconnect them and we went on the ship. And to be honest with you, I forget how many minutes it was, but it was enough for us to be able to stay in touch with the pet sitter and make phone calls, or not phone calls, but FaceTime calls to my wife's mom and stuff. So it worked out. It was good.
You mentioned that the ship is obviously an older ship. Did the ship feel dated, whether like either in a, I don't know, maybe a charming way or an outdated way?
I like the charming way, I think. When I say dated, it was obvious that some of the decor was not as modern as some of, like, we've been on the Mardi Gras and things like that. And you could definitely tell it was built in a different time, but it was, everything was painted. Sometimes you see rust on ships in different places, but I didn't see any of that. I didn't see worn carpet. There was no, it smelled, like it wasn't a new ship smell, but I mean, it wasn't like that. It was like even the shops looked really, really nice. It looked like a little small shopping center. So did it look dated? No, I think it was charming. I really liked, one of the things I noticed in that little atrium area I told you about, they have this lighting feature on top of the ceiling in that area, and it changes colors and things. And of course, it looked like older technology, but it was really, really very, very nice, very lovely. So yeah, I would call it let me tell you, unfortunately, the Gem is going to be replaced by the Dream for the next fall sailings out of Jacksonville. And I think it's a different ship and smaller, but if the Gem was there and we had a chance to do another short cruise, I would definitely go on it again. Yeah.
I believe is it the Dawn coming up here? I don't think
Dawn.
has it. Yeah.
The Dawn.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the Dawn. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I don't think in 17 years I've ever said charming on the show, so that was a that was a first for me. But it's the only word that could like come to mind. Trying to keep it positive.
I've never used charming in my 60 years, but thanks for letting me do it.
yeah, for sure. Very cool. So, how was debark?
Oh, it was really easy. You get your little tags, with the time that you want to disembark, and I think we shot for like 9:00. Maybe it was 8:30 or 9. And we got down to the buffet. It was easy in, found a place to sit. It was crowded, but not crazy, We found a place to have a nice leisurely breakfast. We kind of followed the crowd where everybody was going out, and we found some seats that were right near, we're not jumping line. We were where we were supposed to be, but we were close enough where when they called our time, we could go. And I think we were off the ship in the car, headed back home by 9:30.
Wow, not bad.
Yeah, it was easy, and getting our luggage was it was simple. I mean, yeah, and then getting out of the parking area was very simple. So we're used to Port Canaveral. Sometimes it's crazy, sometimes it's in and out, but wow, this had to be it was one of the simplest ways I've ever disembarked on a ship before.
What's one thing that surprised you the most being a first-time cruiser on NCL?
Wow. It had such a different vibe. There was you could experience some of the dancing and the great music and the loud party atmosphere if you wanted it. But it wasn't quite at that level. What I think I found is when I go on a vacation, I disconnect and I just want to breathe and just kind of relax. And that was that Terry and I felt on this ship was that it was easy on. The food was great. I think the surprise is that, I know what it is. I think that maybe this is part of it. I never felt pressured to buy anything.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, God bless them. I know the crew work hard, and I don't mean it like that, but a lot of times, if you go to the spa or you're sitting there having lunch, you're getting a lot of pressure to buy a drink package or buy a thing for the day or something, a drink for the day. I never experienced that one time on that ship.
Yeah. Especially the spa, that could get really aggressive and almost annoying if you're getting a nice massage and you're so relaxed and they come in with a $1,200 upsell, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's like buying a maintenance agreement on a lawnmower or something.
Yeah, exactly. To expand on that question then, do you have any first-time tips? It sounds like you gave us one earlier about leaving the soda at home.
Yeah, I think the thing is that, definitely the drink package to me was very, very reasonable cost. I think for both of us for 5 days, it was $285, and that's soda and drinks. And it's not top shelf, but it's still, really good drinks. So I would do that again for sure. I think the other thing I would, just be flexible, and, kind of go with the flow. We didn't bring we brought, dress shorts for me and shirts and one pair of long pants. And my wife brought a couple of really, leisurely, sundress type dresses. And other than that, we were in swim trunks and t-shirts and bathing suit and stuff the whole time we're there. So I would just say, go relax. Don't feel pressured. Enjoy it. Find your quiet spot if you like that. Find your great music you want. I think for me, everything on NCL, we're sold. I think if we're going to start sailing with just one line, I think NCL is definitely going to be one of them. So yeah, I think that would be the thing I would recommend is just, go and have some fun. And here's the thing, when you go on an excursion or you're going to a port, if it's your first time to a port, just go explore, walk around a little bit. Don't just go to the excursion. Go see what the local life is like in that port. And that's what we found at Bimini. Yeah, that's what we found at Bimini this last time.
I think I know the answer to this question, but I have to ask you anyways. Was the value there for the price you paid?
Oh my gosh, Doug. Absolutely. I don't know if I can give you the amount, but with trip insurance, which we always get, our 5-night balcony was less than $1,800.
Nice.
With the drink package and paying for our clamshell and a little beach thing, we spent probably less than $2,500, and maybe even less than that. That even includes parking. So yeah, value, of course. I mean, where else can you go for a 5-day cruise or 5-day trip and have great food and see some great sights and have a great room? Yeah, it was great.
Did the free at sea feel like a good deal after, you tally in the gratuities and fees?
I think it is, because I think, I don't know, relatively speaking, what it would cost. I can't, because we never really got the drink package before. But I just know the cost relative to that. I think to be able to have unlimited soda and then drinks for $285, the free at sea thing. And then if you really are going on an excursion, if you paid for that, I think overall, I think it is. We didn't do specialty dining. I would next time, and I don't think it was that expensive to do that, or it wasn't that much more to do that. So free at sea, I mean, I think some of it, I have to be honest, I think a little of it's gimmicky.
Yeah, it is.
But I think, but I think like the drink package is a value, and I would say we're not big drinkers. We're really not, but if you can't bring your own soda and you can't bring wine, that's, to me, that way to go.
In closing, your final thoughts of Norwegian Gem.
It's easy, man. The outdoor garden buffet is the spot. There's nothing like having a nice breakfast out there or a leisurely lunch out there right near and having a drink and watching the world go by from the back. There is a great place in the front top part of the ship where you can go and be away from all that if you like to quiet and read a book. It's a very charming ship. We'll bring it back to that. And I tell you, when it comes back to Jacksonville, we're definitely going to go on it again.
Eric, I had no clue. I thought it was still sailing out of here. I had no clue it's over in the Adriatic Sea right now.
Oh, is it really? Oh, my God.
I was like, maybe I'll book a summer cruise on it. No, it's over in Italy.
Well, there you go. You can go to Italy.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we talked with Eric about his 5-night sailing on Norwegian Gem. Eric, good talking to you as always, my friend. And thanks so much for this detailed review.
Thanks, Doug. It's always good to talk to you. And we'll keep watching the show, my friend.
All right, Dougie, let's see what we got for you, buddy. Cruise Radio is produced at the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. Get cruise news, ship reviews, and money-saving tips every Thursday on Cruise Radio. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show. If you want to help spread the word, give Cruise Radio a 5-star review. Find Cruise Radio where you listen to your favorite podcast or online at cruiseradio.net. I'm your announcer,